So, hi, I'm pretty sure both y'all know me because Venus I work with on Mondays and Shirley I play with you on Fridays. Um, I'm Sparky. I'm a DM on Tuesdays as well as player in like two games now at this point for Theater of Dice. However, I have been using AI programs for almost a year now to help other DMs get images when they need graphics because I became too lazy and I have health issues where drawing is not always an option, especially if you're in a crunch and you need to make something quickly. So that's the whole point of why I'm walking people how to use the different AI programs and stuff because sometimes your character will suddenly, theater of the mind, hey, you guys are talking to this, and sometimes when the NPCs are important in your campaign, you may want an image, so therefore quickly grab something. The first program I'm walking through is Leonardo AI. It does really well for modern day realistic stuff. There are some famous people I know that uses it for actually graphics for their videos. However, since those are modern, it tends to accept it a little easier than, obviously this is supposed to be a tiefling and they kind of don't really look very well, in my opinion. Other people, however, have had good results because have seen people who had some amazing things with Leonardo. I just have not agreed with it. Leonardo does is the only AI I know that has generated certain weapons like whips. However, they do not generate crossbows. They still tend to do crossbows as in regular hand short bows is basically what's generated or a longbow. I have used this for a while because this was the one of the first AIs I've used. However, I will point out like if you are not careful, some races it does not like this is supposed to be an orc. Look at the tusks. It's one of the AIs that tend to have extra issues. It also tends to, where is it? Like this is supposed was one of my character icons I was using. The wings for her Drake are not connected. Leonardo does have issues with a lot of more mystical type thing, so use it at your discretion if you're wanting to actually use it. It's not a bad program, but there is definitely better ones. Like this one it generated her without an arm
Sounds like a
because
cool character to have, though.
it is, and I have a player that has a character with one arm. It's just look at how the drawstrings are pulled back, and there's no arm to be pulling that back.
Oh, that's true.
And that's supposed to be a pseudo dragon, and it looks like a snake.
Snake.
So you have to be very careful. I do love the fact that it will generate a detailed prompt, however, for you. When I'm stuck on ideas, I will steal the prompts for it and post it elsewhere. It is, like I said, it's not a bad tool. For the free area, you get, I think, 150 credits a day, as you see here. This every day it resets. You can generate as many as you want for free using just those credits. Each time you roll, you get about 2 to 4 icons. Normally, it takes 10 credits per icon, but it's a good idea to help you if you're being able to do a detailed prompt for an AI is the most important part of this. Venus and I had the lovely issue the other day trying to help her make a character, and we were trying to use different prompts, and we started getting better results the more details we put in. Leonardo, since it gives you an idea for the prompt, it helps you massively later on because then you already have a prompt, even though you only have slight details. Like this one was for another player who's like, okay, I wanted to have purple hair and blue and pink skin and scaled armor. I'm like, okay, so it's not the best outcome. However, from there, I went to Night Cafe, and these were the results that she did use using the same exact prompt that I used for Leonardo. Night Cafe, however, is a free program. You are able to earn credits every day using the Road to Mastery. Some of it is just voting on other people's artwork. Some is when you generate, if like this one is actually published. So therefore, this one actually helps me get credit because the more people who like it or comment on it, the more credits I get.
I
If you,
didn't know that. Oops,
yeah,
I could be publishing all my stuff.
yeah, I didn't know about that originally, so these ones did not generate it, but on the Road to Mastery, it will walk you through how to get it. Like
Hmm.
this one, I need 500 likes. I already have 21% and it's only one image that I uploaded.
Ah,
I already
oh,
did some of mine, so some of them won't show up, but like joining a chat room will give you 2 credits a day. Create 10 images. So somehow I already have 80% because of it. That will give you credits as well. all of
No,
these
I,
things to
I,
give you
yeah,
credits.
I generated about 5,000 on me.
Yeah, if you publish them, it will help you get credits
Hmm.
because if people like or comment on them, or if you like and comment on other people's work as well, like get 10 likes on a creation, automatically you get 2 credits.
Hmm.
Get 100 likes, 5 credits. Get 50 followers. I don't even know how I have followers, to be honest. You get 10 credits. Following users, you get credits. So even if you don't want to talk to people, I mean, you do get credits for being in the chat room. It allows you the option to be able to get credits really easily for free. And it's not a bad creation thing. Usually, when I do creating, I usually do text to image because I don't have an image to use off of. However, this is one of the few AIs that you can upload an image and edit it.
Does that cost money to upload or cost tokens to upload or
Yes,
whatever?
it does still.
Okay. 'Cause I've never done that, so I was wondering.
Yeah, because if you look, this one is taking that image and up and changing it to this. This is someone that used an image of Tom Holland's and mixed in between Spider-Man and Winter Soldier. But
Uh,
they uploaded his image to get the likeness. This one is one of the few AIs that I have that I use that will allow you to upload an image yourself to edit it. I'm just going to use the text to prompt one because it's a lot easier for me to just come up with stuff because I'm what I'm going to do is anything that I'm using here and teaching you guys how to use are going to be used into tokens, and guess what? They're going to be used as NPCs later.
okay, I see you using Flux. I thought that was a paid one.
Hmm. No, it automatically does it. I didn't actually pay for it because you get 5 free remaining.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I've got three remaining. I thought, yeah. Then you got to pay.
Yep. That's why I was like, none of this I pay for. Plus, being a DM, you shouldn't be making yourself broke just so that you can make something for your players. A lot of older players are used to theater of the mind and have no issue switching to it. I've noticed the younger the players are, the less able that they're able to use the imagination and picture things is the issue. So that's why AI has helped me drastically for that because I've had a lot of players that couldn't put what they see in their mind into words. And that way, this has helped them be able to picture what their image is without having to pay 20, 30, $40 to try to write out
Right.
words to get some stranger to try to somehow envision the same thing they see.
Yeah.
Literally, all I'm using is the generation that I took from Leonardo, which is this is one of the also reasons I don't tend to use Night Cafe because it likes to give me prompts every single time. And from what my experience, it doesn't give you it basically gives you 1 or 2 icons per point, at least for the free factor, versus other AIs that will give you 4 or 5 options on what you generate. Obviously, the image isn't bad. It looks a little like a tiefling. I mean, I wouldn't like the horns being so thick, so then to edit that, I would just do changing it slightly, the prompt, where it's small, thin blue horns. Okay, I don't like the ears, small pointed ears. Don't mind the scale mail, don't mind the rest of it. So I'll just use the same prompt, adding more details to it to see what I get if I like it more. Yeah, so this one to me looks a little bit more anime-ish, but it looks a little bit better in my mind. It still gave her the long ears, but the horns aren't quite as chunky. So I have no problem saving that and putting it in my folders. However, the one that I tend to go to as my major one is Bing. Bing is run by Microsoft. It's an image creator. Even though it says 15 credits, you can use it more than 15 times a day because it's 1 credit per thing. It's slower editing it. So using literally the same prompt I just did. Usually Bing, however, will give you somewhere between 2 to 4 outcomes, as you can see across the bottom, different outcomes I've done. And they tend to have using just the word tiefling, they automatically give it the curved horns and everything else for it. This one, for some reason, I know it messed up. It gave her scaled skin versus scale male. That's fine, just like that one. However, these two are usable, where they give you the actual male and not the skin. So I can save those to use for later. Bing is one of the few ones that I found that generates animalistic races, however. Venus, I'm going to use the one that I helped you with as the reference. Like, she wanted a harrigan.
Yeah, bunnies are hard to do.
Yes, it tend literally the prompts that we had before showing how the difference between a detail prompt me save this because this will show you the detailed prompt versus the others. This is the result for a not detailed prompt. They're not bad, but they weren't exactly what she wanted. It makes them look more like plushies versus more realistic or animated or anything. I have gotten some we got some really bad ones. Some of them were cute, some of them were bad. It's always DM discretion if this is the style you like, by all means. However, using a humanoid female bunny with black and white fur, blue eyes, wearing brown, it's actually supposed to say brown leather armor, but it cuts off, versus the prompt that I used later, which gave the more detailed one, literally uses the same thing of humanoid female bunny because that makes it have the animalistic race is always put humanoid in front of an animal race. Then I put golden eyes instead of blue, black fur with white spots. Then I added more details to the hair where I said hair is long and flowing. I said I gave her a background prompt to make sure. So I gave her the prompt of having a forest. You do not have to do it. I actually, for my NPCs, I tend to say no backgrounds just because it's easier for tokens. And you tend to get a lot better details the better the prompt is. So from that little bit of prompt of, black and white bunny with spots to, you know, a humanoid female bunny with long flowing hair, and it gives the algorithm a lot more to work with for that case.
And
Um,
apparently, a lute is a lot easier to do than a coconut split in half for
yes.
an instrument.
Bing also is one of the ones that do not recognize crossbows or whips. I can show you exactly what happens if you generate a whip in here, which is, let's do humanoid turtle wearing, let's say, blue robes, holding a staff and a whip, looking up at the sky and pondering the sunset. And let's see what comes up. See, the difference between these turtles, yes, that one looks kind of like a ninja turtle, but these turtles versus Bing's turtles are a lot different. However, it did not let me remove the staff and just do a whip to show you what happens when you do whip. Only it does not understand this. And this is the issue with a lot of AI. So if you want someone to hold certain weapons, you want to test it because this is their version of a whip. That one's close. This one's not bad where it comes with a whip because it cuts it off. But these ones, those aren't whips. It just doesn't recognize it. The more, like I said, the more details you put in, the more results you're going to get to closer to what you want. If you are just generating NPCs, you can just literally put the most basic prompt example: wood, elf, male, leather, armor, no background. And that's very loose details for a prompt. You never know what you're going to get, but it's perfect if you're generating NPCs because they're not normally things you're going to reuse. So you don't need them to stand out. You just need a general image for it. So these are the outcomes for it. It gives me a male elf, leather armor. That's it. But then I don't have to cut out the background either because saying no background, normally it gives me no background. Sometimes you do have the issue, but it's usually recommended if it's a background NPC where it's just not really going to be reoccurring, or if you need someone to fight, like obviously here's some elves that you can make as tokens to fight. They don't really have anything that keeps them standing out. Like normally players usually have a special feature, or normally for NPCs, I try to make them look a little bit more different to get people's attention so that they don't blend in with quote unquote the crowd. Especially if you're using Owlbear or Roll20, you want to be able to have the important ones stand out a little bit more versus a loose prompt is perfect for NPCs because literally they're just background people. Now that I've generated a few images, is there anything that you guys have questions for the generation?
I know you said it doesn't do whips, but what if you specify the type of whip, like say a bull whip?
I have tried that as well.
I'm also wondering if you had like a long flowing whip or something like that, if it would do it right.
Well, I'm going to show you what happens when I did it with each of them because I've tried. See, this one is not a whip. That's actually a flogger. It only reaches maybe a foot away. That's her whip. It looks like she's just holding rope, or even as a bull whip. For a long flowing whip, you're going to get similar results, at least for Bing. It's a kind of a hit and miss for humanoid races, non-animalistic races. Leonardo will generate a whip. This is the closest to the whip that it comes to, once again, it's broken. Like this part looks like it's supposed to be a flogger again with just something hanging off of it for some reason because it's not connected all the way. Just like this one, it's closer to it, but whips usually don't have long stick handles either. So that's why it's like it's closer to it the more details you use, but it's never quite right with certain weapons. However, if you're just making characters and stuff, a lot of times, unless the weapon is behind them, I tend to just cut out the weapons also because if you're playing, you never know if you're going to keep using that weapon either. So if someone's getting frustrated going, I can't get this weapon to generate, like, obviously it does not like crossbows. All you have to do is just ignore the weapon. If it's going to be your archer, just give it a quiver on its back. That still signals it's an archer, but it doesn't signal what type of weapon it's using. Also, any way you look at, depending on how you make your tokens, you may not see it. Like if I just do this one as a token, I'm not going to save her, I'm just going to copy her. I will use the most basic ones and do this one. There we go. That's all you see for the icon. That's what the final icon will be. Even that long flowing part is cut off.
Yeah, and if you're using a virtual tabletop, you might want to zoom in a little on the face so you can see better too.
Exactly. That's the other thing. If you copy the image, like this one, you can move, you have to zoom in the image. Usually the face is the most important part for a character. Face and the outfit. The weapon, not so much. This is one of the more basic generators where you can just drop in. You don't have to have an account. As you saw, I just copied the image and it actually let me choose it, or you can save it and let you choose it, because if I do this, it will let me choose the ones that I've saved before. Ignore my maps. Let's find. It will also allow you to upload save, but you don't have to. You do not need accounts. This one doesn't really have a whole lot of nifty option for the frames. That's probably the closest one, these two. So I don't tend to use this, however, it is possible, and you can color the frame color if you want by doing this. It lets you, obviously, if you look in the corner, it's changing the color of the frame. If you don't want a lot of details for a character, this is perfect for you. Background color you can also change, but since these characters I'm not cutting out the background yet, it's not really needed for the most part. I'm going to go through the Tavern information. The Tavern does have an option that will allow you to cut out backgrounds. Sometimes it's a hit or miss. Sometimes it does really well, though. This one, which is the token stamp, as well as the Fateful Force, both have basically the same type of generation. Their tokens are pretty much the same, where it's, you just paste it in, and they have literally the same frame options. Except this one has, like, a few extra, this one has an electric frame, lacy, delicate ones, and those type of things, versus the other one that just literally has basic options. However, my go-to is usually heroics. It allows you you can have an account where you can save your icons if you look, it has a login and stuff, but since I'm downloading it anyway, it doesn't matter. When you upload the image, it automatically uploads it to the size of the image, and you reframe, and instead of resizing the image, you resize the actual frame for this factor. And even though I'm only using the free version, it gives you a lot more option for frame options. This one is one of the ones where if you want things to have more unique things or anything, I usually tend to recommend heroics. I'm not the only one that has used it, however, because I know when I played with Seraphus's Christmas game, this is literally the frame he gave my owl in, because I recognized it instantly. When you choose whatever you want to do afterwards, like let's say I like the dark image. Literally all you do is click download and it automatically will save to your download section. If you are logged in, it will let you choose a folder. If not, it will automatically save it to wherever your download page is for your computer is. This is the Dungeon Master's Tavern. This is actually a group that the Theater Advice has paid to be able to use. Fox over here is the owner of it. He's the one that literally has made all of these bots. But I'm going to walk through all of the abilities that the Dungeon Master Tavern has to offer. You have to pay attention to where you are putting your generation things. Certain areas will only react to certain prompts. Character illustration is just like if you're using another AI. You just type in the prompt to me and you type in the details of what you want. It will also write you the description too. So if you need a larger description to explain exactly the difference between its prompts. The last one, literally I put the most basic prompt to show you as an example. And that is prompt me a multi-legged creature with crab claws for arms, black and red, with glowing eyes, standing over a dead body in a darkened zoo. It will give you a more detailed description, which if you want to, part of it, obviously the 1.3 and stuff you would have to cut out because it's just saying how much the ratio is to it that it's generating. But it will give you two options normally. And this is the option I chose because the prompt for their contest is making monsters. So I wanted to show a detail of a basic prompt, which this one isn't bad, to a more complex prompt. Let me scroll up because I was trying to generate certain monsters. It does not like ghost, by the way. It does not do transparent images, I found out, because I was trying to generate a ghost at one point. Just like zombies, even though I put missing limbs and stuff, it does not. A warning, however, Fox's Taverns does show certain body parts that other areas do not. Unlike other AI prompts, Fox's actually allows you to have torn clothing, blood, nudity, etc. Most other AIs, because of the fact that they're publicly used and they don't want kids to get a hold of it, do not allow those type of things. So this is the only one that I know for a fact you're able to use blood, because this is an example of the creature that I made earlier for their contest. I needed a monster. If you look, it actually allowed blood, it actually allows torn clothes, it allows dead images. Most AIs are very strict and not letting that stuff. In fact, Bing, if you use the word centaur, sometimes it will block you as a warning. Hence why I said a lot of the AIs do not like humanoid or animalistic races. For the character illustration, it's mostly a prompt me, which is basically just typing the same thing that you were typing in any other AI. It's just giving a description of, this is the basic details of what I want, and it will make it for you. They also have the lovely thing of battle scenes as one of their things. The battle scenes, once again, is a prompt me thing where you will give a detail, and it doesn't generate humanoids, it generates sceneries. Some people don't want to actually have battle maps, want a image to suddenly show their characters of this is what you're walking into and see. This is a good option for that. And then you can always lay out the map afterwards. Like, this would be a wonderful option if you walked into a cave and this is what you see as soon as you walk in, and then you can lay down the map to show the people what they have to fight afterwards. It is very well detailed. Once again, it will give you can use the most basic of prompts, and then it will give you a generated image and information for a more detailed prompt that you can use later. Foxes also offers battle maps. The battle maps has a different option. These ones, obviously, if you're using Roll20 or I think, I know Owlbear, I think there's a couple others out there. Obviously, these are not to size, so you have to make sure you size your maps correctly, but it will show you a top-down image of a location. Sometimes they're not as detailed, like trying to put an icon on this around the cliff would be good, but down at the in the cavern, not so much. But mostly, this one will always do a top-down image for you. You can either do, this was one of the few areas that you can use draw me or prompt me. It explains the draw me will use exactly what you wrote. It will not change the prompt. Whatever prompt, the exact details you write in, it will use. Prompt me, however, will allow you to, it will take your idea and run with it, basically. And it does the Fox's area does recognize other languages. So if you want to write in French and Spanish, Portuguese, German, which I have tested this because I do speak some German, it will still generate for you, which is the great part. He also has a token creator thing. However, the problem with the token creator, as you see, is sometimes it cuts out the edges of it, and you cannot, unlike the others where you cannot drop and drag the image. It just, you have to tell it what image you want in the token, and it will make it for you. That's the only problem with the token one. It's not a bad feature, especially if you need a quick token and you don't want to, find an image on one site and then load it into another site to make the token. This one can actually just make a token on the spot for you. Once again, the draw me feature is able to be used in this area where it's draw me is using the exact wording that you use. So make sure you are careful whether you want a prompt where it lets the bot run around with it, or if you want exactly as you wrote it. Certain areas obviously do not allow it. It looks like it glitches the image if you do it in the wrong area, if it does not allow the draw me feature. This is for top-down images. So if you want a token that looks like it's looking down on an image, once again, it's the same thing. You can use the prompt me or draw me feature and it will always generate exactly what you put, but it will look like it's looking down on the icon versus it looking straight at the icon. It's not a bad feature, as you see, because this is someone who was just generating some monsters for them to fight, some a bone knight or a demon knight, so that they had options for their characters. The item, accessory, and loot. First one that pops up is Venus. Hi, Venus. Um, it allows you to basically do the. I think this is one of the areas that does do prompt and draw.
I was
believe.
testing the language thing.
Okay.
I did one in English, one in German, and one in French.
Yeah, it does allow you to use different languages. So if you're players or you're a DM and English is not your first language, unlike some of the other AIs, this is perfect for you because it allows you to then have the freedom without having to use a translator for you. This is basically meant for if you need an item on your that you want to drop in the map, or example, if you want to give your make a character sheet for stats or a homebrew item, this is perfect for you to then generate the item for it. So it is a great idea for, especially if you need something like this one. Someone needed a wanted poster. This is the generator. However, I will warn you, just like almost all AIs, it does have issues reading languages on text. So, like, obviously, this is a card. One of them has a U, one has an A, but then there's another ace, and then this one doesn't even have a Q, but I think it's supposed to be a queen. So, letters and words, most AIs always have issues with as a warning. If that's the case, you may need to not put words on it or be able to put it where there's not a lot of details, and then you can load it into an art program and just write the words elsewhere. But this one is meant, it does allow the draw as well as prompt to draw an item. It does take a little bit for the queue to sometimes pop up, depending on how much detail you use or give it. It may make it a lot longer wait time. It will pop up as an alert saying, hey, like if I go over here, that area when that generates will pop up with a red alert. The portrait area and palettes are very similar to the character illustration, except it looks more like watercolor based versus realistic. It is another way to generate character wise. It does allow the prompt, or it does not allow the prompt. So that's why you have to be careful that this one has to use exactly what you write within details. But as you see, someone else here used it in French and it recognized it. I think this might have been the area that we realized that if you do not use it, if you use the prompt me, it kind of glitches. Now this one has alerted me with the two icons that my item is done. That is its whip.
If you had scrolled up just a little more on that other one that you were just in, you would have seen my glitch.
Yeah, because you
From
use
the other
prompt.
day.
Let me see. That's what happens if you do use prompt instead of, this is the results. You are not the only one though, because if you look, this is someone else's generation, Venus. Someone else did it in the wrong area too.
Oh, it looked identical to that.
Yeah. Because certain areas the bots do not recognize. So you have to be very careful because occasionally the bots will start popping up to remind you, the Anabot, what that area allows. But these all look like paintings versus the character illustrations, which looks more realistic. Again, it's depending on your style, whether you want what your character you want it to look like. So
You can also put in the specific style. Like
yes.
I put in that Studio Ghibli.
So you can actually change. This one allows you the freedom, just like how Bing also allows the same thing, where you can put in the style. Like I did, the icon that I'm using right now, as well as my icon on Discord, are all using Bing, and then I just used cartoon as the prompt. So it gave a more cartoony, chibi looking image as an example. The older bot model, most people don't tend to use. It doesn't tend to have as much glitches with the hands or anything, because all AIs tend to sometimes glitch with fingers or floating images somewhere. People still use this. You can still use it. It's still available. It does allow the prompt as well as, I think, draw. I think it allows both. And the old model does allow items as well, but unlike the other items, this one gives you a background and everything else, so then you would have to cut it out. That's where we come to The image editor. Image editor, there is a lot you can do with it. It basically taking an image that you already have, like we'll use Ebony's or Epony Mouse's example with this cave. They generated it earlier. If you looked when I was going through the stuff, that was the cave that had the spiders in it. And then the prompt you would all you have to do with this area is post the image you want, and then the bot will ask you what do you want it to do. You can say that you need it to change into the angle that you want. You can say you need it to become a token. You can say, but you can say like this one says he just wanted it to have cobwebs and stuff in it. So then it will change the effect of that image reference to try to change what it is. It allows you to manipulate an image you already found to change it. Like this person needed it as a token. Obviously, it didn't cut out the background. That's when they have to use another tool that's in here, which is down here. The free DM tools, this is like my bread and butter, I'll be honest. Outside of making images, this is my go-to that I have had to use so many times. Ask RPG Bot, I even told Fox this is a lifesaver. Literally, all you do is you call its name, you do RPG Bot. You can ask it to generate new items. You can ask it to generate stats. You can ask it to generate names for buildings that you need in a town. If you're building the town, it will generate anything you need. So let's say I am building a city. I do RPG bot. You don't have to capitalize it. I tend to. I need buildings found in a large city. Wait for a few minutes for it to register it, then it will give you outcomes and answers for it. It can come up with names, which has helped me drastically because I'm not the greatest at naming. Like right here, it just popped up saying, okay, here are some various buildings that are usually found in large cities. Therefore, if you're building a map, congratulations, you just have a list that you know that you should put in a large city. So if you're trying to come up with something, a town of, okay, what buildings do I need? Okay, bot, tell me some buildings so I'm not stuck, because I've had that issue trying to build a huge town before going, okay, I need areas. What are areas that are in the town? Okay, so I have a rich district, I have a poor district, I have a, white collar, blue collar district, those type of things. The RPG bot has saved me so many times because it will generate stats for you, names for you, locations for you. Any questions that you have, it can help you with that deals with the game. It is probably, to me, one of the most useful, beneficial creations I have come across because it will generate anything from even homebrew races and everything else. Like one of my friends needed a mutant race. It generated mutant stats for it. RPG Bot is one of the greatest features that most people don't tend to notice because most people are so into using the image area of this area that they forget that the DM tools exist. I will be honest, the sound area, it will generate sounds. I'm hard of hearing. I can't hear them very well. I even warned Fox, I warned everyone else. The sound and the music area are the two areas that I have not been able to play with because certain pitches and sounds I can't hear. So I cannot tell you how well it is. If you read the prompt here, it's about to test it. You can do a sound that you can do rain coming down, everything else. Owlbear, I know allows sound as well as Discord itself. You have a soundboard and therefore you can save those to be added to your soundboard. Like this person has the sound of a, I guess, railgun, and that it generated the sound for it. This person needed the sound of a trap activating, so that basically when if you're playing an owlbear or something and a player does not do searching for traps or anything or accidentally set it off, it can cause your players to jump a little bit if you suddenly play a sound out of nowhere. And it can add a more feel to the gameplay as well. But once again, because being hearing impaired, I can't really walk you through that very well. So that's something that you guys can test. It's not overly used, as you can see. Like this one was from the 10th, but it gives you that option here, and it's completely free. The grid map tool allows you to basically take an image, post it in, and then tell it that you need a grid. You can tell it the ratio of the grid and everything else. So if you need a gridded map, it can build it for you. Certain sites like Owlbear, we can make our own grid for. Other people don't want to use that feature. They rather have a actual image, or in the case of like this person, they may have just printed it out and they're doing it on tabletop, offline. and it needed a grid map so that players can see where their tokens can fit. But it allows you to post any image, like this person just posted this that they generated, because I remember seeing them generate it, and then it asks you the details of what you want. He wanted it, this color, this many grids, and it will make it for you. If you want to adjust it, it will then give you the idea where you then type basically just the numbers, and it will regenerate using those numbers. If I react to it, it will not mess with those buttons, by the way. Only the person who generates and posts the image will recognize those buttons, which are great, because therefore you don't need to worry about someone accidentally, typing something or pushing a button and screwing your work up. Tokenizer is just like the other thing. You can actually post the ring of the tokens, because you can actually buy the outline token icon, or you can use the default ones, and this one allows you to post it. Like this person dropped this as their icon thing. They either bought it, they found it, they made it, then they posted it into the image, and it will make it as a token for them. Obviously, some of them work well. Some of them, if you look, doesn't. Like this one obviously worked well. It cut it off, everything else. This one obviously has things on the outcome. That's where the background remover comes in. You can post any image with a background and it will remove it for you. That way, if you don't want a background on an image, on a token, etc., this is perfect for you. You don't have to use an art program to do it. The bot will do it yourself. There is some glitches, as you see, however, because this person, obviously, he probably wanted the torso of the zombie, and it literally just made the icon as the head. So it's sometimes a little hit and miss. But other times it works really well. Just like this person did armor, and it gave you some stray pixels, cut out a little bit parts because the armor was the same color. But after enough tries, it usually can get a good amount of what you need, and you don't need an art program to do it. Hey, Venus, I see your stuff. Yeah, see, like Venus just did it with the one character that we generated for her. It did not generate correctly. It cut out certain areas, but it's a start, and it's worth a try if you need to get a background thing removed. It works really well with icons, I'll tell you that, especially if you're using like the old generated icon one, the old model. That will work extremely well to just take out the background for that item. Upscale enhancement is basically if you find a very tiny image that you want to use, it will resize it for you without destroying the quality of the graphic that you choose. Because I know if you sometimes do it in certain art programs, it will start making it blurry, and then you have to sharpen it and everything else. This automatically will resize it and sharpen it for you, so you don't have to worry about blurry images that are being resized, which is again great, because sometimes you can find an icon and go, oh, I really like this. Oh, it's way too small. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe it's way too big and you need to shrink it down. This will automatically resize it without changing the quality of the images. It is very useful, again, like I said, for like this person had a map. The map was too large, so they had to keep resizing it to try to get it. This person found a small image, like this one, and they blew it up. If you look at the same quality, it's not blurry, and that way he has the crisp, clear image that he wanted, that he originally found, but using the same quality that he wanted. Image converter is pretty much the same way that it sounds. It basically, you post an image and then you tell it what you want it to convert to. This works well for certain items, because I found a lot of WebP images, which a lot of art programs don't always recognize, especially older ones. So this allows you to then transform it to an image that you can handle, like JPG, PNG, and therefore be able to use it again. It literally, you just post the image and you tell it what you want it to change. Monster generator is the more detailed stat thing. It will actually walk you through loot it has, stats it has, etc. Like this person wanted a boss fight at a dinosaur island. That's all it did. It gave it the DC ratio. It then generated the appearance of the dinosaur, its hit points, its armor class, its abilities, everything you would need to use to make that as a monster now. It has completely taken all the working out of having to think too much in advance for battles, because back in the old days, it used to take a long time to calculate to make sure you didn't total party wipe your people. This one will automatically generate it so that you can make sure the DC is correct without having to look at the monster manual going, okay, do you think you can handle this? Is this battle's going to be too easy? No, this one you can literally make any type of monster or any type of creature, and it will give you the stuff for it. It is a text-based only channel, so do not try to use images here. It will break it. The bot does not like it, but you can generate almost anything. I know I have generated a couple NPCs because I suddenly needed, originally they weren't supposed to have stats, and I needed stats quickly. It helped me. It gave me all the stats that I needed for it, including its skills, its spells, everything. So this is like one of the best tools for a DM because it will cut out a lot of work that you have to do otherwise. Because let's put it this way, we all have lives, and yeah, it can become complicated. Again, I can't test the music. It does allow you, like this person wanted spooky music, so it gave you an hour worth of it. I can't test it because I can't hear it. This is obviously not a very used program, as you see, but it can generate sound effects and everything else to be able to do it. This one, I believe, is a paid feature, I think, or maybe Fox is removing it because I see it's locked right now. We can see it, but we can't post in it. Does anyone have any questions about anything in the tavern?
What are those reactions for? The frownings, do they actually do anything?
It basically helps Fox get feedback of how well the image prompt is for you. Like if I, like example, I really liked how it automatically will say one. I really liked how this one came out. So if you look, I've favorited it. So therefore he gets feedback on to work on improving the bots because he even said he works on it constantly.
So
Also,
it doesn't affect a future prompt from the AI?
no. It basically gives him feedback of what needs to be worked on, what people like the best, so to speak. So they know what prompts are working, what aren't, what might need fixed. Like this is supposed to be a ghost. Obviously, it kind of gives on dead vibes, but it does not look like a ghost to me. So I didn't give it any feedback because literally it's like I put even a transparent woman, not transparent at all. That way he can start to figure out to work on the bot's features to try to figure out what needs to be changed. Obviously if I do that, he knows that this obviously did not work well. So therefore he can see what the prompt was and see what is not matching up correctly. So it helps give him feedbacks. There's also a feature in the tavern that is not necessarily needed for DMs, but it exists is the fact of you actually get experience as well by using the reactions. So it tries to get other players to give feedback as well. So if I scroll through, I may not have generated that, but you know what? Of those two, you know what? I really like this one, so I'm going to give it that. So that he knows that that one generated the best for everybody. It's not just your feedback, it's everybody's feedback on the image. You also get experience. The experience doesn't really matter in the tavern, only if you're like competitive. But it lets them know then which results you are coming out the best according to what people are looking for so that he can change the features to it.
The limits of how many times you can use it, isn't there like a bump thing too?
Yes. In fact, I just bumped it before we guys started. The only thing it matters for it is character illustration for the most part. If you look, like this person did not have a bounce, you get 9 free requests a day without paying or anything else. If you are able to get the bard area, because if you look down here, it says I'm the singing bard right now. All you have to do is when the bump server needs it, all you have to do is to /bump and you get the bard icon. When you are the bard, you get 100 prompts a day that you can then use. It only works with character illustration things because those are the ones that take the most amount of memory for the bot to use and the most amount of time and stress on the server. So that's why it limits it so that people aren't just spam, 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 spam. Especially since a lot of people in here are free players, which is completely fine. He's not having to worry about, 800 plus images generated a day. Every 2 hours, the server needs bumped. This helps with the ability for other people to find the server. So it's also helping the server, so you're getting rewarded for helping them out. It is not needed. You can choose whether you do it or not. When you do it, if the first time you do it a day, a alert will pop up. I'm trying to find my alert. There we go. This is from the first time I did it when I got up. The first time I managed to bump it because someone else had the bard was at 2 o'clock. It automatically pops up the thing of saying that I'm singing on the table and stuff like that. This will alert as well as the experience area will alert, even though I have it muted. That will pop up too, because that's letting your character know that basically, because there's character sheets here, but they aren't really used much. It's a little side game that you guys can do. You don't have to, but it gives you experience and money for those characters then. But if you, like, I continuously, as you see, since I got up, I have bumped it quite a few times. I've bumped it, I think, 3 times so far today. And I also realized from when I went to sleep, I don't know when the server resets the count of how many things, or if it's maybe if you lose Bard and then regain it. When I went to bed, I had 70 prompts left because I was doing the monster event for him. But when I just got Bard again, it said I had back to 100. So it may reset how many times you can do it again. So if you need a lot of images, try to get the Bard title. It lasts for 2 hours, and therefore those 2 hours you can generate images, only character images. It does not count towards items. It does not count towards anything else. Just the character illustration area. That's it. It's not needed. It's something that like I said, if you're trying to generate a lot of stuff, you now have the option to generate. If you ever have questions in the tavern, go to the general chat. Steve and Milk are two of the people with purple names. They tend to lurk a lot, as well as Fox, who has the burgundy name. They will be able to help answer any questions if you have questions for it. Occasionally, I will lurk in here as well. Occasionally, like I said, the experience in part, that's where this part comes in. The tavern is under attack is an optional thing. You do not have to do it. It's just you have to make a character sheet and everything else. That's, it's a fun little thing that you can do while you're here if you want to. There's my character sheet, where the icon that I'm using is my character's icon. And you just basically fill out the same thing, what are your stats, what are your skills, etc., etc. It's just a fun little thing that you can do. You don't have to. Fox's channel is having an event, which will always be under announcements, which is an AI generated area. It explains that you must do it in the character illustrations. You are not allowed to do it anywhere else. You cannot use an offline server for generating. It has to be using his server. Fox also has a shop. The winner for this contest is voted on, thumbs up if you like, for whoever has the most amount of reactions to it will get a reward, which basically allows you to get anything from his shop, which includes token rings, maps that he has made for sale, etc., where there's a huge amount that you can choose as a reward if you really want to. You do not have to. It's an optional thing. Currently, the only examples are me and Fox have generated, which Fox did his monsters, and then you guys saw my monsters that I generated. So that's an optional thing as well. Contests are not held very often, but it's always a good idea to look at the announcements occasionally to see what is available, because you guys could benefit, especially being a DM or even a player, to be able to have access to more options for the ring one. There was an option to upload your own ring. You could technically win his pack of pre-made rings for tokens, and therefore you have even more options for tokens. Occasionally he does that. If not, then you can always buy it in his shop as well. It's actually pretty decent. He has some really good stuff up there. Aaliyah's asking if anyone has any features or any sites or anything that they're skilled with. If you guys want to do tutorials for it, by all means, suggest it, offer it, because it will help other people as well. That's the whole point of why I wanted to do the AI and the tokens, is because it will help a lot more people be able to do it themselves without having to wait for someone else to do everything for them. Plus, doing AI stuff to me is kind of fun. Like I said, if I have downtime, if I'm not working on maps, I tend to make a lot of AI images just so that I have NPCs ready to go for people. Where I have it, so obviously not all of the races are sorted, but like I did the tieflings where they're clothing, heavy, light. Okay, so you're in a tavern, you need an NPC. What color tiefling do you need? I already have it. Let's say you wanted a gray tiefling. Congratulations, there are males and females pre-generated and ready to go.
No wonder you were able to create two different purple tieflings and two different genders.
Oh, no, no. It's even worse. I have a lot of them. That's just the purple tieflings. That way, Arya offered Aaliyah I can make tokens and have things ready to go because this is something I do in my downtime where I will play with the AI bots to make tokens and characters already pre-generated, so we're ready to go and have something. Like I know I did the tieflings already, lizards and dragonborns. I know the dragonborns I've done. All the dragonborns of different colors. So if you need a blue dragonborn, congratulations, I have pre-generated blue dragonborns. These were all using literally the same the AI generators that I have already showed you. All of these are using those. But that way I already have NPCs ready to go of, oh well, in case it's just a nobody and then the characters start talking to them. Congratulations. Oh, you're talking to a white dragonborn. Here you go. Here's a white dragonborn image. Just like that's the clothing area. I also have it because I know I finished the dragonborn's light armor areas, and then I also have the heavy armors where these are literally just using the most basic of prompts for people. So it's not using a whole lot of details. That's why they all have the same color. Most of their armors are mostly the same, but their facial features, their hair, those are all different. So it will generate it slightly different because it's used more or less for NPCs, so it's not needed a whole lot of details. Versus like if I go out to my characters, obviously they're separated. They have a little bit more details because I'm looking for something specific for me. But these ones are using a different AI. I'm not covering that one yet because I'm still working on learning the features for it. So that one I may offer to do it later so that I can have more practice with it. So I don't accidentally, tell you guys how to do something and realize I screwed up. But I also have some generated tokens already. Some of them are not sorted yet, as you see. Other ones are like this ones are all for my Beyond the Guild stuff as NPCs they had to deal with or continuously deal with.
Hey, I recognize a couple of those.
Yeah, because you would, because I threw them up a couple times as I needed something referencing. But these are the main tokens of the characters that my players on Tuesday run across all the time, or will run across. Like this one is where they're going to find the green drake. There's the green drake image. These are the three kobolds in a trench coat that are with them. This is the main tavern keeper who is in the guild. So plus I'm still working on the gods images, of course, which you've seen some of those because I used them for the one shot. Here's the monster god, the female and the male. But I tend to practice with the AI stuff a lot. So it's always a good idea that when you have downtime, play with the bots, play with the AIs. The only way you will get better at coming up with the prompts is through practice. And practice makes perfect. And that way you always have options ready to go. Because even I've been playing in other games and they suddenly needed something and luckily I had something that I could throw up and owlbear for them. If you guys ever have any questions using any of them, however, I am always available to be reached on Discord except for the few hours I tend to sleep. And you guys can always poke me going, hey, or if you guys are having issues trying to get an image for AI, you can always ask me because I have been playing with this for months now. I've been doing AI stuff for well over a year at this point. It's just I've started saving them versus just having fun, goofing off. So if you guys are ever running a game and you're like, hey, I need, I don't know, a satyr, more than likely I may have something that I can throw to you. So just remember, if you want to make sure that an NPC is important or a player is important, make sure you add something more unique to the prompt because that way it will stand out. You can also change to make sure, like with the token ring, give it a more unique ring. Like a lot of the evil characters or fighting characters tokens that I've been making usually have spiky rings or aggressive looking rings versus player characters which may have the nicer rings and stuff like that. So because that will also help your characters or your players who are seeing the tokens and the images be able to identify enemy versus friend.
And it doesn't like adding scales to bunnies.
No, it does not, because my dragon bunny, it does not like adding scales to bunnies. I learned that. Like I said, the AI prompts and AIs are still learning. They're still in development, so things will change in time. As they change, it will be easier to generate the more unique species, the more unique looking creatures that you want to make. Because right now, you're kind of more limited. But I've noticed in the past few months, even some of the bots that I've been using and the generators I've been using for a while has changed drastically with the outcomes are becoming so much better because people are still working on them. Today, if you try to generate something, it does not look exactly how you want it. You can get a rough idea and then maybe in 2 months check again and it may change and be able to give you what you're looking for. Never give up on trying to get a prompt that you want to look as you want it either. Everyone has their own AI that they like using. Go ahead and play around with them. Maybe Leonardo is your cup of tea. Maybe that's the one that you want to go with. By all means, it's not wrong. Use whichever program you are most comfortable with. If maybe you didn't have a favorite yet, just play around. There is more and more free AIs popping up all the time. I know that there's new app ones as well. I didn't cover the apps because obviously I can't connect it to my phone versus my PC. But there are some free AI apps as well that you can use on your phones to try to get images that you want. So always keep looking because things are always advancing and changing every day. And if that's it, I will wrap this up and we can, call it a night. Thank you for joining me. I hope you all have a good night and I hope you guys have learned something helpful. And I will see you around the Theater of Dice.